I was sitting at my wee desk on Wednesday night when my 16-year-old daughter made an entrance to tell me that Charlie Kirk had just been shot. Now, at that particular moment, I couldn't put a face to the name, but a quick check online and I realised I did indeed know this far-right online supporter of Trump and all his works. Now, while agreeing with pretty much nothing Kirk advocated, I was always impressed by his courage in going to debate with university students. His debates looked to me like old-day hustings when politicians would go out and argue their point with the populace. Indeed, having loved debating as a boy, I was impressed by Kirk's knowledge and self-effacing style. The news then began to sort of filter in, as it does. I was reported that he'd been hit in the neck. Then there was a clip where they stopped the video where he actually was hit, but you heard the sound of the bullet. I immediately turned to my wife and said, he's dead. He's dead. That's a rifle. That's a rifle. She wondered how I knew this. The reason is that I grew up in North Belfast during the Troubles. And as children, we learned to distinguish the sound of different forms of gunfire. Now, when we were out in the street playing, this was the survival technique. And as a low-velocity bullet from, say, a handgun, well, that meant some local issue was being settled, posing no real threat to us, so we just played our football. But the distinctive crack of a high-velocity round, that meant rifles had been taken out, and we knew those bullets could travel miles. Subsequently, we got rid of the football and ran home. Tragically, I was proved right as the next report announced that he had died from his injuries. Now, while this was obviously shocking, what added to the horror was when my 16-year-old daughter returned to my room to inform me that she had just seen a video of the death shot which had popped up on her mobile phone in all its gruesome detail. Now, like most parents, I'd hoped to protect my children from such horror. And I know some will be saying she shouldn't have a mobile phone, to which I'd reply, she's 16. For that generation, a mobile phone is an essential. It's not an add-on. Nor do I even blame social media, as connectivity means just that. We're all connected in ways we'd never seen before, and in some ways we'd rather not be. Now, being me, Mr. Sensitivity, I almost made things worse, trying vainly to mitigate what she had seen. I explained to my daughter that as Kirk had been hit with a high-velocity round, he probably hadn't felt a thing. My wife, overhearing this, rightly pointed out that this only proved why I should never volunteer for the Samaritans. Now, I tried to offset in my own mind the psychological damage which may have been inflicted on my daughter, explaining to my wife that at her age, I'd already witnessed 3 shootings, of which one had been fatal, and also the aftermath of 2 explosions, 2 bombings in which there were multiple fatalities. I was about to end my little rant by saying, well, none of this done me any harm, when I got a knowing look from my wife. All right. Maybe I'm not right. I'll give you that. Now, sadly, there's nothing new in this latest example of the public execution of public figures in the USA. Americans have been shooting their politicians for a very, very long time. From the assassination of President Lincoln by John Wilkes Booth in 1865, there followed in the 60s a spate of murders, with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963, Malcolm X in 1965, and Kennedy's brother Bobby and civil rights leader Martin Luther King in 1968. Now, not surprisingly, the Republican Party, MAGA, and Trump himself, they were immediately out laying blame for the assassination of Charlie Kirk at the door of what they termed the radical left.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. This is a dark moment for America. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
It was somewhat inconvenient for them when the shooter, Tyler Robinson, turned out to be an average white kid from a Republican voting family. Indeed, in one family shot around Halloween, he was seen wearing a Trump-related costume. So leaving the finger pointing aside, the online vitriol this attack spawned was symbolic of just how divided the USA has become. While some argued Kirk was a martyr to the cause of Trumpism, others celebrated his death, arguing it to be a sublime example of karma, citing this particular clip as their justification.
So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen.
Right.
You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home,
Yes.
by having more armed guards in front of schools. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal.
That prudent deal didn't prove exactly prudent in the case of Kirk himself. Personally, I really don't care what the man said. His murder was wrong and should be condemned by everyone without equivocation. He leaves behind a wife and 2 young children who will forever have to live with film of their father's execution. Now, you can't parse on the issue of murder, nor do I accept the argument being peddled by some that his killing was a form of tyrannicide. He was a contentious political pundit. That's it. Those who continue to celebrate his death need to take a long, hard look at themselves, as their behaviour is much more in keeping with Trump and Kirk than the non-violent society we should all be striving towards. Kirk was viewed by most as being pivotal in the re-election of Trump. This is what the president had to say when asked about him recently.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
Oh, yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he's dead. He's dead. But look, I'm building a wonderful new ballroom. Do you see my ballroom? Isn't that a wonderful ballroom? It's great. It's great. Chad's not right. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? That child's not right. That child's got issues, serious issues that need dealt with.